The logic model will help to enhance organizational capacity to effect change in people's lives. By focusing on outcomes and impacts, you will clarify the organization's mission and vision and core values. So we are again measuring our effectiveness. So effectiveness is qualitative, which focusing on impact, outcomes, all right? And hopefully you will begin to infuse in your mind, when we talk about effectiveness and efficiency. In addition, by focusing on inputs, activities, and outputs, an organization can better clarify their goals, objectives, and long-term strategies to implement their programs. So this helps organization to measure its efficiency. Again, efficiency is we are measuring quantitative success, and when you focus on inputs and activities and outputs, it will help you to measure quantitative and efficiency of our ministry. So when organization can measure its effectiveness and efficiency, it can demonstrate its capacity in tangible manner. So when people say, oh yes, we are all about building capacity, sounds great, but how do you measure your capacity? It's like educational institutions. We believe in excellence of education. Sounds great. How do you measure excellence? I hope you're getting, what I'm talking about here, getting this. So capacity building must be demonstrated through measuring your effectiveness and efficiency of the program, both quantitative and qualitative. So to effectively apply this theory of change, the logic model, there must be changes in the way of thinking and the way of working. So when we change the way we work and the way we think, we will able to apply this principle and have a greater, beneficial, end result. In general, churches, parachurch organization, we as a nonprofit sector, we have concentrated on quantitative success. Focusing on input and output. That's it, So we often ask, and report on how many people we serve, how many goods have been provided, and what services, we have delivered. Yes, that they are important, that numbers are important. However, what society expects and demands are not just numbers. They want to know the result, the impact, tangible and intangible impact, and what are the visible, recognizable, a change that churches and nonprofit sectors have, brought to the community. So we as a church, faith-based community, nonprofit sector, we are not exempt from these demands. And we should demonstrate the real impact of how community are transformed through our, engagement. So we must commit our lives to make a difference in people's lives and community transformation. Therefore, church, we should alter actually the process. Rather than focusing on just quantitative success of the program, we must seek the big picture first. So I'm going to actually change the order of implementing this logic model. So hopefully you will follow along with me carefully here. So we will begin with impact. Okay? So we will begin with the impact, how society influence the church and the transformational engagements experienced collectively. So when implementing the logic model to plan a community outreach ministry, I encourage you to use the components of the logic model in this following sequence. This is not the same sequence of the Kellogg Foundation's logic model, which begins with the input, activities, and output, outcome, and impact. But you will see the rationale for its modification. So we as a church, we will begin with impact. And then second, outcomes. And then number 3, activities. And number 4, outputs. And number 5, input. So we will change the order and hopefully you will follow along. For example, let's say we are planning a stop smoking seminar for our community. So we will incorporate, Kellogg Foundation's logic model in this community outreach ministry. So here's a step 1. We will begin with impact. Yeah, Stephen Covey says we must begin with the end in mind. That's it. You got it. So that is why we start our plan focusing on desired impact. What is our vision of the impact on the community from this stop smoking seminars? So in a year later, 2 years later, how we will make a difference in our community? Will it decrease healthcare cost? Would it eventually reallocate tax dollars for other areas of human services, such as greater need of education, housing, employment? So will we have healthier people and neighborhood, for a betterment of life? Can you think of other benefits to the community because of fewer smokers in our community? So, these are all examples of the impact part of the logic model. How will this community be different 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because of our faithful presence in these communities through our long-term intentional, provisional, sustainable community outreach ministry? So again, impact is like a dream, which becomes challenge. So the impact will become motivational factor. It will involve people with this, great challenge. So this will actually help people to be inspired and motivate to be involved and engaged. So throughout the Bible, we see God's intervention. God wants us to have vision, big dream, which captures the commitment among people. When you read the Proverbs chapter 29, verse 18, it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. So in my humble opinion, where there is no dream, the people perish. So impact, brings that dream that we need, the vision that we need. So in addition, today's, knowledgeable workers need to know, knowledge workers need to know what they do is significant. Did you hear? The knowledge workers, people need to know why we do what we do and how this engagement will make a difference in a significant way. Yeah, and we need to answer that upfront. In fact, Peter Drucker advocates that companies and any organizations that help their employees with this sense of significance to create a far more productive work environment. So try to ask people in the community to identify what the church stands for. Yeah, I can guarantee you that most communities are clueless about what the church stands for, or sometimes don't even know we are there, right? So, if we are not creating an impact in our community, we are not being salt and the light of our community. So people need to know the big picture, the end in mind. In knowing why we do what we do, we must pray and and dream for the societal challenges, the changes that we will create in our communities. What are we trying to accomplish? Why, dream is important. In my humble opinion, that any dream that we have, and we will not able to accomplish unless God intervenes. So we need a dream, to accomplish God's missional engagement on earth. So impact, we begin with the impact. And the second step, number 2, is outcomes. Outcomes is about how to influence an individual's life holistically. So their physical, social, mental, spiritual well-being. So we need to actually conduct a pre-assessment and post-assessment. We call it pre-test and post-test. So when we are doing our Stop Smoking seminar, we need to assess their, knowledge, skill set, and their attitude, the degree of, their willpower, how to refrain from smoking by exercise and the diet, and how is their attitude regarding their smoking, So we need to learn how to compare the result from, before and after the seminar. So it's before we provide the seminar and after we provide a seminar. So have we, made a difference? So what changes happen in an individual's life as a result of the seminar? So we will have questions. We have a pre-test and a post-test. Pre-assessment and post-assessment. So we will ask questions like, knowledge base. Have we increased their knowledge? Have we enhanced their competencies, the skill set? And have we influenced their attitude? So we will have questions in the beginning, and then we will have questions dealing with the knowledge and skills and attitude after we complete our program. So, and in addition, we should actually follow up with each participants who have participated in our Stop Smoking program in every month. And continually so about 12 months. So every month you are visiting these individuals to assess their changes, any changes in their knowledge and skill set and attitude. So what are we doing? Why we are having this follow-up, assessment every month, about a year long? Well, we are doing 2 things. Number 1, we are collecting research-based data, the evidence-based data, which will demonstrate programs' capacity. The result. Especially this is important when we are seeking collaborative partnerships within the community in order to develop that infrastructure. Remember that? The partnership from the public sector, private sector, nonprofit sector, other humanitarian organization. We need to demonstrate our program effectiveness. What sort of program, value that we are adding to our community. Is our program really dependable, and trustworthy? Is that accountable? And is that really effective? So we cannot approach our community without having research-based data, evidence-based data that validates the program's integrity and success. So yes, you can say you don't smoke and you live a healthy life and you are, a good Christian, so this program works. Well, that's good. But, our society expects much more than, your description. So we need to demonstrate our credibility based on the research-based data and evidence-based data. So as we visit every month and continually so about a year, we will have that data that we need to validate our credibility. And we can use that information to not only develop greater partnership, but also cultivating financial resources that we need so that people will begin to fund, this amazing ministry. The second thing, why we are doing this follow-up visit, well, we are building personal relationship. Yeah, exactly. We are having life-on-life relationship development with the participants. And not only the participants, but with their family members, right? So as we engage with them through the continual assessment, visiting every month, we get to know them. We get to know their family members in a personal way. Remember that? Life-on-life evangelism? Yeah. So we learn their joys in life, concerns of life, challenges in life. Perhaps we can be somehow support. If they encounter any difficult, journey in their life, like, having a funeral, a loss of their loved ones, and, being sick, perhaps unemployment, or maybe going through the divorce, or, children, youth at risk issues. So we can actually provide greater support as hopefully friend. Yeah. Because you're not just there to collect the data, but you are there to developing relationship and weeping with them and rejoicing with them. So maybe due to this trust relationship you have built, they will invite you to celebrate together their birthday, their graduation, their success and accomplishment and whatnot. So through this ongoing personal relationship development, we will build a trust relationship between the church and the community. So through this trusted relationship, we will earn the right and privilege to share the good news of salvation with them. So I hope you understand the value of follow-up. Sometimes we don't really understand the importance of the follow-up. On a side note, in my humble opinion, the messenger is just as important as the message itself. I hope you're getting this. When the messenger is known, when the messenger's values and integrities are unbreakable, the messenger becomes dependable and trustworthy. And when that happens, the message will have a greater impact. Yeah, the message will also become real. So the outcome result are more than just statistical, data that we are collecting. It is more than just, qualitative study that we are engaging. This outcome opportunity, revisiting every month and building relationship, it is about building relationship with the people in our community. And through this sustainable, long-term community outreach ministry. So I hope that the Logic model is not just developing a program and implementing and also evaluating the effectiveness and whatnot, but I hope you will begin to see the Logic model as the mechanism, the methodology, good excuse to revisit, having a follow-up in a visit with the individuals that we have encountered through our New Start program, nutrition class, parenting program, children program, youth program, stop smoking program. So whatever the ministry that we provide, we should actually utilize that opportunity to build relationship and have follow-up with these individuals to develop the relationship with them. Logic models implementation, step 3, activities. Now, activities are designing programs and services based on needs analysis of the community. Remember that we talk about internal analysis and external analysis, right? So matching right person for the right position, right church for the right ministry. So what are the relevant ministries to meet the needs of the community? So activities are not the same as traditional events, okay? So we are not being eventist. Hopefully you got that. So we are not being eventists, we are not doing the events, but we should include following 3 elements in activities. Number 1, products. Products, it is developing and acquiring materials, educational tools that you will use for Stop Smoking. So since we are doing Stop Smoking program, what sort of the videos that we need to develop? Brochures? Do we need a PowerPoint slide presentation to present the facts about the smoking, problems and challenges and perhaps the cancer that will be developed and so forth. So what sort of the educational tools that we need to develop and the information that we need to disseminate. So that is first thing that we have to think. What sort of a products, educational tools that we need to develop for the Stop Smoking program. And the second thing is service. Service is where we begin to develop a plan to promote and advertise and deliver. So is this going to be like every night for the 5 days? We will provide Stop Smoking program at your local church, elementary school, middle school, any public facilities, even business, partners, right? So when and where you will conduct your Stop Smoking, seminars, and so you can actually have a greater partners. I believe our program, should not only offer in the church but outside of the church. After all, this is community outreach ministry, and we are being missional church engagement. So we need to intentionally figure it out how to take our program, our ministry into our community. So the services is just that, thinking about when and where and how you will deliver. So it is kind of having an action plan. So you are thinking about service. And then also in this activity, you are planning to develop infrastructure, your ecosystem, your partners. So you need to form a collaborative partnership in your community with healthcare, right? Stop Smoking. You got a hospital. I'm sure they have interested in this program. Your school, elementary and the middle school, public, schools are probably interested in, Stop Smoking program. Public health care and other faith-based group. We're not the only, faith-based community that has interest in Stop Smoking. So you need to involve and gain support from all, possible partners in your community for this Stop Smoking program. So support from these community partnership will build, greater sustainability, credibility for your program, your Stop Smoking program, your ministry. And then when you begin to demonstrate your effectiveness and efficiency of your ministry, you will have actually greater partnership opportunity, and people were beginning to even promote your ministry, and you will become champion for that cause, and you will become specialty. So people say, oh yeah, my cousin has a problem with the smoking issue. I don't know who has any stop smoking program. People will say, oh, you go to that XYZ church, the Seventh-day Church that down the road, they have awesome stop smoking program. So you see, how we would become known for, this cause. So far, you are designing, okay? What sort of products that you will develop, educational tools that you need to develop, and service when and where your program will be delivered, and the infrastructure who are able to become part of the partnership. So activities is designing phase. So you are actually thinking and developing the plan. And then step number 4 is outputs. Outputs is how the programs and services have been delivered and supported. So this is after months or 2 months after you provided a number of your programs, maybe continually so, every year, every month, or every quarter. And it's not just once a year type of a program, and you will do more frequently, systematically. I would encourage you, any program that we do for our community, we need to do that more often than once a year. So if you just show up once a year for like Thanksgiving basket or Christmas, a program, we are not really, making a difference in people's lives. It is kind of, a patting on yourself. So we need to engage our community more systematically. So at least quarterly, I think we should provide a program so that it will be consistent. And people will know you have a more frequent, service opportunity. So how many people we can actually measure, at the end, right? Every quarter we do this. So at the end of the year, you can actually demonstrate how many people have participated and how many partnerships that we have established internally and externally with all these different sectors, public, private, nonprofit, and then how what sort of educational tools that you have developed. So in the planning mode, whom do we aim to reach? And advertising and the stop smoking program, and how many people do we project will participate in the program? How many handouts we will need to distribute, and how many times will the seminars be conducted, and how many community partners do we aim to establish? So that is all a designing phase in the activity. So now output is basically measuring actual results. Yeah, so you can say after a year, you can say how many people actually participated, how many seminars were actually conducted, and how many handouts that were developed and distributed, and how many community partnerships were established, and how did they participate in the Stop Smoking program. So it's a breakdown of the result from program activities, and you can demonstrate in outputs, number of products, number of how many services that you have provided, and then how many infrastructure partners that you have developed. So this is quantitative success, end result. After you implement activities, this is a direct result of implementation of your program activity. Hopefully you understand the differences here. So activities are not actually doing the program. Activities is the designing phase of your program. What products you will develop, when and where, how the service will be delivered, and then infrastructure, who will become partners. And then output is implementation of these program activities that you designed, right? So it is direct result. So you can say after a year, how many products we have developed and how many times we have delivered this service and how many partnership we have established. And then last but least, step number 5 is input. Input are basically what are the resources that we need. Each entity has, I'm sure, tangible and intangible resources. So, including your competencies and the skill set that you have as a stop smoking program. You probably need a medical doctor or someone who works for the healthcare. And so it's a healthcare provider, in that areas of a study. So, what are the resources, we need for the Stop Smoking program? So we need expertise, and we need a medical personnel, we need the finance, we need presenters, different facilities, equipment, advertising materials. So basically we are saying, what do we need to do this ministry? So this is actually the last question that we need to ask, not first. Oftentimes, when we engage in our ministry, what do we ask first? Yeah, we ask first, do we have enough money? Do we have enough people? Do we have enough equipment and so on? So, but we need to change that. When we implement the logic model, we begin with the end in mind, right? What is the big dream? What is the challenging, inspirational, motivational dream? So we need to begin with end in mind. And what we need is the last thing that we ask. Because if we focus on input, the resources that we need to do the ministry, and then we are not really dreaming. It is our program and something that we can accomplish within our resource. Yeah, within our capacity. We have enough people, we have enough, facility, we have enough, so we can do this program. No, that should not be the way we think and approach ministry. We need to focus on God's will. We need to be a faithful servant for God's missional engagement in our community. So we need to think about what is the dream, and then at last we say, what do we need to do this? So we need to change where we think and where we work. And if we can accomplish within our own resources, that's program. And I don't think really God is interested in our program. God wants us to dream big, so big. Unless God intervenes, we cannot accomplish. So when we are faithful with this process, the journey, the logic model in a journey, we will have a greater success at the end. And oftentimes, even we as a church and parachurch organization, we want tangible success. That's why we measure our success based on numbers. I believe we need to change that, focus. When we are faithful with the journey, we will be successful at the end. So to me, Christianity is a progression. Christianity is faithful journey with God. So logic model is helping us to become faithful to the journey with God. I hope that you will be able to apply the logic model to planning and measuring the organizational performance of your community outreach ministry more effectively and efficiently. When you are faithful to the process, you will be successful at the end, and you will be able to enhance your organization's ability to fulfill its mission. In fact, Maya, Angelou once said, "I did then what I knew how to do. Now that I know better, I do better." I really believe that. So when we know, better way to do, then yeah, we will do better. So, in fact, a friend of mine, had a water project in Africa, and the first 3 years he had great success. He had developed this graphics and tables with the figures of different villages they went in, and they talk about how much water they pumped, and so many villages and the peoples that were benefited by, and it was all based on numbers. It was important. It was a good ministry. But after about fourth, year or so, donations were declining, and he hired a consultant to figure out why donations were, down. And basically the consultant said, you focus on efficiency of your program, quantitative success. It's all numbers, but there was no stories. No quality of a ministry that you share with the audience. So my friend was, confused. Hey, this is a water project. This is all about numbers. How many villages that we enter, how much of water that we pump, and how many people are access to the water. It's all numbers. What do you mean stories? So he was very confused. But anyway, I make a long story short, they decided to focus on 2 stories: crime rate and educational opportunity. I know some of you are probably wondering, how is the water project connected to crime and education? Well, in any given village, in the community that he has entered, that someone has to go 1 or 2 miles out and bring the water back to the home. And oftentimes it was a duty assigned to young girls, okay, and females, okay, young girls. So as the young girls, travel back and forth, mile or 2, go out to the well and bring the water supply, and guess what? They're getting attacked, they're getting raped. So it was a huge problem in their community, and because they have to go out and get access to water and bring back to the home, they were not able to go to school. You see, so that was pretty much the day labor. So now, because they have access to water directly, they don't have to go mile or 2 to travel and access to water and bring back. So because of that, guess what? Yeah, crime rate goes down. And then they have now opportunity to go to school and be educated. So not only, he focused on numbers, but he focused on now quality of life. They are making a difference. Crime rate is going down, educational opportunities increase. So donors were excited, and they were more interested in these results, how the water project is making a difference in people's lives and transforming their community. So they were willing to provide greater resources, and also a friend of mine created virtual learning community. Yeah, we have a number of those platforms these days we can utilize easily. So, let's say you are a volunteer and you cannot travel to Africa, but your professional degree is in mathematics or accounting, so you can actually teach basic mathematics and accounting over Zoom meetings and, Skypes and, different, internet platform. So you don't have to actually go overseas as a missionary, but you can teach those classes at home. So he provided a greater, participatory opportunity for donors and supporters and the volunteers and so forth. And then he actually added another amazing opportunity to visit the students. So he created, this mission engagement opportunity once a year where possible volunteers can travel to the country, the village, the school, and the children they having teach over the internet. Now they are meeting their students in person. So that is exciting. That you are now playing with them, eating with them, and also you're doing some teaching on site. And tell me, how do you think these volunteers feel? Yeah. They are loving it. They love the trip, meeting the students, and they love this teaching opportunity over the internet. And guess what? They are becoming contagiously passionate about the service. Yeah, so it's not just the water project anymore. It was transforming lives and creating opportunity for people to involve and contribute. So people came back and told their friends and their colleagues and their neighbors, how these wonderful opportunities in making a greater impact in overseas, and how they are transforming their children's life and their community. So they are becoming a champion for your ministry, and they are actually cultivating additional people to participate in this great endeavor. So you can be a part of the solution in global challenge in education, hunger, poverty, and more at your home. Looking for opportunity to support the effort through your network. We can also apply same principle to our community, our own community, where, we cannot figure out the necessity of our community. We are just keep doing the events and not really making any huge difference. We need to learn how to implement the logic model in all aspects of our engagement. So internal system and external relationship, all can actually work together through the logic model. We understand who are doing what, you see. So this is how you develop your capacity. Internal systems investigate mission, the leadership, and volunteers, technology, and then able to evaluate your program process and infrastructure, the partnership that you have developed. And external relationship investigate the status of your current and potential funders, partners and sponsors and constituents. So these are the demands that faith-based, nonprofit organizations like church and parachurch organization should report on the result they achieved, not just the activities, and as events and the programs and the finance, but we should discover which services really make a difference, and to focus on that activities and to scale up those activities and services, and so that we can achieve greater impact. So there are more demands to form strategic alliances in a greater ecosystem with other nonprofit sectors, public sector, and public sectors to achieve this engagement. So again, it's no more of church to community, but church with community. So there is a greater expectation of church and parachurch organization people are demanding and expecting, greater sustainability of church and parachurch organization, rather than keep doing the same thing, year after year, and not understanding how that, events are, making any difference. So exercise number 17, I trust you understand the importance of evaluation. I hope you do, and I think you are. And I really believe evaluation is a critical element of organizational growth and enhancement. So please take a look at your ministry. Look at your current ministry, okay? Your internally focused ministry and also externally focused ministry. Any projects that you are currently involved, okay? Take a look at it and then ask yourself, what are the leading edge approaches to enhance your ministry, okay? So what are the leading edge approaches to enhance your ministry? Not just keep doing the same thing, but how do you improve? How do you enhance your capacity? So what are the methodology? Number 2, what should leaders and church members be doing differently to enhance the performance of your ministry? So, look for new opportunities, changing the methodology. How can you improve your quality of delivery? So think about that. How do you enhance the performance of your ministry? And number 3, how can the impact of the church be significantly increased? So look at any impact that you have contributed to your community. I mean, if you have not made any impact in your community, this is actually a good place to start. But if you have made any impact in your community, think about how can you increase, significantly. So those are the 3 questions that I want you to think about it based on the lesson that you just learned.